What's up, guys? Today is an interesting video. So a couple weeks ago, I asked you guys on my YouTube community tab, what is your favorite Star Wars movie? The idea of this whole poll, or the whole point of it, was to kind of see just what Star Wars movie is the very best out of the Star Wars movies. So I kind of structured the polls in like a tournament-like fashion. And the results are actually pretty interesting. So I guess we should just jump right into it. So if you guys enjoy this video, please remember to like, subscribe, and turn notifications for more videos. So what is the Net Soldiers over 30,000 votes? What is their favorite Star Wars movie? Let's check it out. Okay, so first I asked, what is the favorite prequel? And I kind of figured this one would be obvious. I had episode 1, episode 2, and episode 3. And when it came down to it, people completely chose episode 3 with 91% of the vote. So that is a lot of people choosing Revenge of the Sith. And I'm not gonna lie, that's obvious. I think Revenge of the Sith truly is the best out of the prequels. If you guys saw my Star Wars movie ranked video, which I definitely recommend, I'll leave a link to that in the description below. In fact, that video kind of inspired this video, so check that out if you guys want to see more insight on my my opinions of the Star Wars movies. So after I asked you guys what was your favorite prequel, I did the originals, and I was surprised by just how close they kind of became. I expected a landslide on this one too, but at the end of the day, it was actually closer than I was expecting. So looking at the poll, A New Hope has 9% of the vote, Return of the Jedi has 27% of the vote, and The Empire Strikes Back has 64% of the vote. So like I said, this is interesting for me because I just kind of figured that The Empire Strikes Back was going to just have a total landslide. So to see like The Return of the Jedi, which is the weakest out of the original trilogy in my opinion, still one of the best Star Wars movies, but it's the weakest out of that specific trilogy, I was surprised to see just how well it did. So I'd like to know in the comments below, why would you guys choose that over The Empire Strikes Back? I'm guessing because of the finale, but I just want to hear your opinion, so let me know down there in the comments. We can start a conversation. So after The Empire Strikes Back defeated all the other originals, I asked you guys, what is your favorite spin-off film? Now there's only 2 films so far, and that is Rogue One and Solo, and you guys chose Rogue One overall, with Solo getting 21% of the vote and Rogue One getting 79%. So I don't know if I necessarily agree with this. I think that both films are fine for what they are, but when it comes down to it, I actually find that Solo is more entertaining, and maybe that's just because it appeals more towards like the space adventure. It's its own standalone thing. So while Rogue One is a better structured film, Solo is more entertaining for me. So that's just why I would prefer it over it. So that's actually pretty interesting that that one actually won as much as it did. I kind of had a feeling that it was going to win, but I didn't think it was going to win 80% of the vote. So that's interesting. Okay, so after the prequels, the OG, and the spin-offs, I asked you guys, which is your favorite out of the sequel films? And this one was, I didn't exactly know how it was going to go, but I had a feeling that Last Jedi was going to be last, and it was. So Last Jedi has 6% of the vote, The Force Awakens has 25% of the vote, and The Rise of Skywalker has 69% of the vote. Now, to be fair, The Rise of Skywalker did just come out, so there could be some hype behind it that's kind of pushing it towards to the forefront. Actually, come to think about it, I actually did something like this back in 2017 with the release of Last Jedi, and The Last Jedi actually was like number 3 on this list, right behind Empire and Revenge. So I think that's actually pretty interesting how time has changed since, Last Jedi was once seen as the best of the Star Wars films when it first came out, and now a lot of people are not liking it. So I guess we'll see if Episode 9 is able to kind of stand the test of time. So I guess we'll see. And for our 4 finalists, we have Revenge of the Sith, we have The Empire Strikes Back, we have Rogue One, and we have Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, the newest one out of the entire franchise at this point of recording this video. So for the first poll, we have Revenge of the Sith versus The Rise of Skywalker, and Revenge of the Sith completely decimated The Rise of Skywalker with 80% out of 20%. But I have to admit, I actually thought that this was going to be more of a landslide. I thought that the Revenge of the Sith was going to just like take it 95% to 5%, so to actually see it that much of a difference is actually pretty interesting. Now, like I said, whether that's because Revenge of the Sith is just loved by a lot of people, or because Rise of Skywalker just came out, so its hype is just kind of fueling its fire, I think it's interesting to see just how close it came, even though it's not really close at all. But it's cool that it did more than I was expecting, so that's interesting. And for the last poll of the finals, this one was kind of a landslide. I kind of figured this was going to happen, but Rogue One actually got defeated with 10% of the vote, and Empire Strikes Back has 90% of the vote. So I figured going into this video that the championship would come down to Revenge of the Sith and The Empire Strikes Back. And People actually pointed out in that specific poll that it wasn't really fair to put Rogue One against Empire because Empire was going to crush it. But I figured I did the same with Rise of Skywalker and Revenge of the Sith, so it was only fair that I gave Rogue One a chance too, even though I knew it wasn't going to win anyways. Now, before we get to our championship, let's do our losers bracket, and that is the Rise of Skywalker versus Rogue One. And the winner was the Rise of Skywalker with 71% of the votes, and Rogue One at 29%. So I was actually surprised to see just how much the Rise of Skywalker defeated Rogue One. I actually thought that this were going to be almost close, like 50-50, or at least maybe like 40-60, but I wasn't expecting a 30-70 split. Now, like I said, whether that's because the Rise of Skywalker is actually better than Rogue One, or it's because the Rise of Skywalker just came out, so its hype is kind of fueling it. I think in like another maybe 6 or 8 months, I'll do this video again, and we'll see just how good the Rise of Skywalker does. Maybe because it's not exactly fair to put it on this list because of that. But for where it stands, Rogue One is ranked number 4 for you guys, and the Rise of Skywalker is ranked number 3. So with that said, guys, let's jump into our championship round. So here we are at our championship round, guys. We have Revenge of the Sith, and we have The Empire Strikes Back. Which one do you guys think is going to win? I'll give you a couple seconds to decide for yourself, and we'll see if you won. I guess you can leave a comment below if you want, but you can just leave it in your head too. The Net Soldier's pick for number 2 best Star Wars movie out of all the Star Wars films is Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, with 33% of the vote. That means that Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, is the best Star Wars movie in your guys' opinion. Like I said, guys, I may have to do this in a couple more months after some of the Star Wars hype kind of dies down again, and the Rise of Skywalker hype especially dies down, and we can see who exactly would win this one again. I mean, I think at the end of the day, Revenge of the Sith and Empire Strikes Back are always going to be 1 and 2 on all these lists, which makes sense. But I wasn't expecting to see just how much Revenge of the Sith destroyed Empire Strikes Back. Now, maybe I shouldn't say destroyed, because this was the closest split we've had so far with 35% and 65%. But in the end of the day, Revenge of the Sith still pretty much defeated Empire Strikes Back very easily. So there you go, guys. So if you guys like this type of video and you want to kind of participate in some of these polls for future videos, make sure to check out my YouTube community tab. And the easiest way to do that is to like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and make sure you turn on the notifications to the point where you can actually see all my postings and not just specific videos. So you can participate, you can leave comments, and sometimes I actually do shout outs and stuff like that. So it's pretty fun and interactive. So if you want a best chance to communicate with me, that's the best way to do that. But that's it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more, please consider watching more videos. I'll leave links to those in the description below. But that's it for now. I'll catch you guys later. Peace. So, I like Finn. I don't want to see him die. I liked him more in The Force Awakens, but overall, he's a decent character. I don't necessarily want to see him die, but if they were going to kill him off, this scene should have been it. And this scene alone creates 2 massive plot holes. First, how exactly did Rose manage to catch back up with Finn? And second, how did Finn actually get her back to the bunker without getting shot by one of the walkers? Let's throw 2 more points on the counter. Man, the part where Luke and Leia meet again after so long, it's definitely one of the biggest highlights of this film, and it's relatively a small scene. I just wish Han was there to kind of share the time with them. Also, I didn't really mention this in the beginning of this review, but I kind of feel like I should say something about it. They completely murdered Hux's character in this. In episode 7, Hux was at least competent, but in this film, every time he shows up, I feel like there should be like a laugh track or something behind it.
Win. Don't get distracted. I'll go. Supremely.
And while it's funny, it also sucks because he's supposed to be like our new Tarkin-esque character, and he's just kind of like a new Jar Jar. But I guess that's an argument that could be raised about this entire trilogy. We're not really afraid of any of our villains. Snoke was kind of scary, but that issue is solved, so yeah. Not to mention the fact that Phasma's gone after doing nothing, so we're left with Kylo and Hux, and while Kylo is handled much better in this film compared to episode 7, he still doesn't compare to the villainous prowess of Darth Vader, and that's unfortunate. So for the final fight between Kylo and Luke, While I think it's cool that Luke decided to teach his former apprentice one final lesson, I still honestly wish that Luke actually went in person to fight Kylo. Also, his lightsaber should have been his iconic green one. Maybe that's just me, but that's just how I feel.